Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. We're going to explore how we're overcoming the massive logistical hurdles of the electric vehicle revolution to build a truly resilient, electrified future. I mean, we all see EVs out on the road every day, right? But behind the scenes, there's literally a high stakes race going on to build the infrastructure and the tech to keep them moving, no matter what happens. And that brings us to the million-dollar question. What actually happens to EV charging when the grid goes down? It's a thought that's definitely on the minds of prospective EV owners and urban planners alike, especially when we're talking about crowded cities or severe natural disasters. If our entire transportation system becomes completely reliant on electricity, are we just sitting ducks during a widespread blackout or massive hurricane? Well, it's a critical vulnerability, and innovators and policymakers are aggressively trying to solve it right now. To answer that, we're going to navigate through 5 core areas today. We'll look at the charging infrastructure challenge, some creative public charging solutions, emergency resilience and reliability, next-gen battery technology, and finally, the future of electromobility. Let's get into it. Starting with part 1, the charging infrastructure challenge, and really identifying where the bottlenecks are. So the crucial point here is that while EVs are absolutely booming, deploying the actual chargers they rely on is often delayed by massive grid bottlenecks. When we compare traditional grid-tied charging, which comes with lengthy, frustrating permit processes, against off-grid or mobile charging, the contrast is pretty wild. We're seeing companies like SparkCharge and Pioneer Power bypassing those grid delays entirely by literally bringing the charger directly to the car. Instead of waiting months or honestly sometimes years for utility upgrades and construction permits to install a stationary charger, these off-grid and mobile solutions offer immediate, on-demand energy delivery. It's a total paradigm shift in how we think about fueling up. Moving on to part 2, creative public charging solutions, or utilizing what's already out there. You know, we don't always need to reinvent the wheel or tear up the sidewalk, in this case. We just need to be a bit smarter about the infrastructure that is already hiding in plain sight. Instead of doing heavy construction on streets, companies like VoltPost are actually utilizing existing lampposts. They outfit them with retractable cables that just draw on the 240 volts already running right through them. Meanwhile, you have companies like It's Electric leveraging spare electrical capacity from adjacent buildings, usually about 40 amps, which is roughly what a large household appliance uses. And the best part? They're doing this at absolutely no cost to the municipality. They're effectively crowdsourcing power directly to the curb. How cool is that? Just to give you an idea of how fast this mobile off-grid market is moving, Pioneer Power Solutions recently secured a massive $10 million award to deploy their eBoost EV charging hubs. These are completely independent off-grid power hubs capable of delivering large-scale EV charging without waiting for grid access. It just proves that the market is incredibly hungry for solutions that bypass those traditional infrastructure delays. All right, part 3, emergency resilience and reliability, and how we actually survive an outage. Because let's face it, convenience is great on a sunny Tuesday afternoon, but reliability is what literally saves lives during a disaster. Now, before we look at new legislation, we need to understand the absolute gold standard for reliability. That is, a strict 97% uptime mandate required by both federal NEVI standards and California state regulators. So uptime simply means the hardware works, the software works, and it's actually dispensing electricity when you need it. If you've ever pulled up to a broken charger with a dead battery, you know exactly why this metric is being so heavily monitored and regulated. Now, when you map out the public electric vehicle charging ports across California, you see these incredibly dense clusters. With over 200,000 chargers in the state alone, it becomes pretty clear why legislators are proactively planning for how this vast network will operate during a major power outage. Think about it. If a massive wildfire or an earthquake knocks out the grid, millions of citizens could literally be left stranded if there isn't a solid backup plan for this specific infrastructure. So, California's proposed AB 2543 tackles this head-on. It requires emergency management plans and backup power options for fast charging sites based on some very specific logistical, geographic, and demographic factors. It's a highly calculated approach. Planners are asking questions like, how dense is the population here? How far away is the next fast charger? By weighing these exact factors, the state aims to designate which direct current fast charging stations are absolutely critical to keep online when the lights inevitably go out. And this is exactly where mobile chargers become so critical. They act just like ordering food delivery, but for electricity. They keep people moving during severe hurricanes when those stationary grid chargers just go totally dark,
We actually saw this in action with mobile networks deployed in Texas for Hurricane Beryl and specialized charging trailers deployed along evacuation routes in Florida for Hurricane Milton. When the grid is compromised by extreme weather, mobile charging literally becomes a lifeline. But there's another piece to the resilience puzzle: vehicle-to-grid technology, or V2G. Think of V2G as a two-way street for electricity. It completely transforms your car from a passive consumer of power into an active stabilizer for your entire neighborhood's grid. Instead of just draining power, a fleet of electric vehicles plugged into bidirectional chargers can act as a massive, decentralized battery. When demand peaks and the grid gets stressed, these cars can actually feed power back into the system, potentially preventing blackouts before they even happen. It's a real game changer. Okay, let's shift gears to part 4, next-gen battery technology, and how we're revolutionizing the core of the EV itself. Because honestly, all the resilience and infrastructure we just talked about doesn't mean much if the battery technology inside the vehicles remains stagnant. Over the last decade, we've seen a dramatic plunge in lithium-ion battery prices worldwide, and that has made widespread EV adoption a financial reality. We went from nearly $800 per kilowatt hour back in 2013 all the way down to just $139 in 2023. This massive cost reduction is the economic engine that made EVs accessible to the general public. But traditional lithium-ion technology is fast approaching its physical limits. Enter solid-state batteries. The future really belongs to this tech, which replaces flammable liquid electrolytes with solid materials. This swap offers incredibly fast charging, way higher energy density, and it completely eliminates the risk of those scary thermal runaway fires. By removing the combustible liquid found in today's batteries, solid-state tech offers an incredible safety profile while packing way more energy into the exact same physical footprint. It is basically the holy grail of battery tech right now. Diving a little deeper into the chemistry, researchers are doing some amazing things with the charging process. We're seeing microsilicon anodes starting to replace traditional graphite. Silicon has this massive capacity for lithium ions, storing up to 10 times more energy, but historically, it swells up and degrades really quickly. What's happening now is that researchers have formulated a microsilicon layer that intelligently expands and densifies into an alloy during charging. They're using nanostructures to safely manage that expansion, keeping the battery intact while delivering a massive boost to vehicle range. Finally, let's wrap up with part 5, the future of electromobility as a strategic imperative. Tying all of these pillars together, we find that the future of electromobility actually goes far beyond civilian commuting. When we look at this through a military lens, like the one outlined in a recent NATO electromobility report, we can see that reliable off-grid charging and advanced batteries are now viewed as high-stakes operational necessities. The military is actively monitoring EV research because having high-energy density batteries and the ability to charge tactical vehicles without relying on a vulnerable fixed power grid, that fundamentally changes how forces can be deployed and sustained in the field. That NATO report perfectly distills this, stating that energy superiority is a fundamental pillar of military strategy, recognizing energy as a strategic asset in modern warfare. That powerful sentiment explains why both the civilian and military sectors are aggressively marching toward true sustainability and energy independence. Advancements in EV technology aren't just about saving a few bucks on gas or reducing emissions anymore. They are absolutely crucial for resilience, agility, and securing a critical technological advantage. So, knowing what you know now about mobile power, smart grids, and next-generation batteries, I want to leave you with this final thought to consider for your own community. When the grid eventually goes down, will your city be paralyzed? Or will it seamlessly tap into lampposts, mobile chargers, and vehicle-to-grid networks to keep the lights on and the wheels turning? That is the true promise of electromobility. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today, and keep your eyes on the grid.